Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity Radiant Light. I'm Reverend Cherie Ruffo. It's Sunday, July 27th. I can't believe it. And today we're continuing the Denials and Affirmations series that we've been doing, but we're going to talk about mastery and compassion. They're two of my favorite topics here. And we've come through the last several weeks talking about all different kinds. We talked about affirmations and denials for health. We talked about it for prosperity. We've taken inventories in our lives along the way. And we've talked with each other during the week and talked about, what affirmations would work for us and written our own, sometimes adopted others, and just really delved into this topic. So as we know, with anything that you do a lot of, we're going to reach mastery with this. And I'm sure you're not surprised that compassion goes along with the mastery. So as we continue this today, we're going to be talking about this topic because it really resonates within our spiritual growth in our daily life. Once we reach mastery, compassion naturally comes in to the mix here. It's part of it. It's a natural progression. So the intention this morning is to explore how true mastery is not about control or perfection, but about embodying divine compassion, especially through affirmations and denials. And what do I mean by that? What is mastery? In Unity, mastery means that the conscious realization and expression of our divine identity. It's not ego-based control or superiority. It is alignment. Always talking about this deep remembering of who we are in God. Because once we're never learning something new, we know that already. We have it within us. What we're talking about here is remembering it if we forgot. And we know that Myrtle Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, she said, we do not have to acquire healing power. It is part of our divine inheritance. We must learn to use what we already have. So what we're doing this summer, and we'll be doing with prosperity in the fall, is we're remembering this divine inheritance. We're already supposed to have this. We do have it. We're affirming that we have it. So we're taking what we already have, love, wisdom, divine strength, whatever it is for you, and we've been using it, and we're getting better at creating affirmations to help us do this in a conscious, intentional way. Because it's already there. You already have everything that you need within you. So where does compassion come into this heart of spiritual mastery? We know that without compassion, mastery becomes rigid. But with compassion, it becomes a living expression of love. And Charles Fillmore, Unity co-founder, wrote, "Love is the great harmonizer and healer." So what we're talking about when we're saying we're working from our hearts, we always talk about the difference between spiritual understanding and just understanding. When we understand something, we can understand the concept. We can learn it. We can repeat it back all we want, but we may not have that spiritual understanding of it. It's when we take through experience. This isn't about reading something or learning a definition. But through our experience, we develop a spiritual understanding. Instead of using the mind with it, comes from our hearts. So we know we have two brains in our body. Even science has been talking about this for the last decade now. We have one here in our mind, and we have heart mind. So where are we operating from? And that's really key to this topic this morning, because when we operate, we're coming from compassion. It's not going to come from the mind. It's going to come from the heart mind. And we don't want our affirmations to be rigid. We don't want them just to say them without feeling, without believing them. Because when we move into this compassion, we're this living expression of love. I mean, that sounds good to me. I'd like to be that living expression of love do good, to really show up in this world, make a difference. And we know with the soup of oneness that we live in, we could use more compassion for sure. But when we do that, we help change the world. We help change our local communities, whatever it is, because we're in this soup of oneness. And when you can add that compassion to it, love grows. It helps us. So compassion, it helps when we move into compassion. We might make a course correction, but we're doing it without judgment. We're not judging ourselves and we're not judging others. We're not looking at others and witnessing the pain and limitation without losing the sight of wholeness. So I know as I've traveled this journey, I've made a shift inside. I may have an affirmation, I have an example here of one I've used. I am the living expression of divine wisdom and infinite compassion. So what would a denial be for that? It would be I release the belief that I must be perfect to be worthy. But what happens inside? That's the question. When I'm moving into compassion, when I'm using this mastery, I've made a shift inside. So when I'm saying an affirmation, it's starting with compassion. Instead of pointing fingers at someone and saying, I don't know how they can have this belief system or they're wrong. I might do it by making that shift into compassion, where we look at a person and say, I can see their background or where they live or all these differences that we might have and see why they might have arrived where they have. And it's okay to not have the same insight, same agreement with everybody. Right? This world that we're in right now, a lot of times there's a lack of tolerance for that. And as I always say, if everybody believes the same thing and is having the same experience, that would be really boring. And I think that while we live in this soup of humanity, while we have this experience, we're always going to have these differences. It's what we come here to do. So if we can do this and enter into this compassion as part of this, we never lose sight of the wholeness of every individual. There's no individual that's left behind on this planet because we're all pieces of God. We have this divinity within us. So when we can finally look at every person, especially the ones who I call my greatest teachers, they might make me a little crazy at times, or I might disagree, but I have to take myself to the place where I can see them as whole and complete, as a living expression of God. And that's what I'm talking about this morning. When we can do that, we can move into that mastery. We've done it. As we know, we've talked about this is not about reaching a destination, the spiritual experiences that we're having. This is our journey. How are we doing on this journey? What have we learned? And that's why we're arriving at the mastery through affirmations and denials. We're using our denials, if you remember, to clear the false beliefs that we may have about something or someone or about ourselves or about our body. So when we create those denials, we're working with we're working with all levels of consciousness to replace that, to clear it, especially the subconscious. With the affirmations, we're anchoring this truth. This is not a self-help type of course, or talks or work that we do in unity. This is always about our soul alignment and balance. Because when we come into full alignment, that's when we see our lives will change. And we see the natural healing that happens. The things that happen in alignment. It doesn't mean that we're never going to be challenged. Because we're here in this humanity here to learn, to have these experiences, see how we'll work with them. What we're talking about here is being able to walk through those times, especially more gracefully, have the tools to know that everything is okay, to know that there's this greater picture out there, these ideas. And from that comes peace. The one thing that we want to make sure when we're working in this is that we also put our self-criticism in check because we're really looking at self-love here. And that self-love and acceptance brings us more into balance. So if we have a moment of self-criticism, it's nothing more than an opportunity for compassionate mastery. We don't have to say, oh my gosh, I screwed up. I have to start again tomorrow. It's not about that. Just look at it as it's simply an opportunity for compassionate mastery. And that way, we'll be able to move through it easier. And if we have a moment where we find ourselves criticizing ourselves, we can start with a denial. Say, I release the thought that I am not enough. Let's just close your eyes and say that. I release the thought that I am not enough. Now, in the affirmation, we can move into I am divinely guided and wholly loved. We breathe into that. I am divinely guided and wholly loved. Wholly loved. We can take this moment at any opportunity. Take that moment where we may find ourselves in self-criticism or having a moment of doubt and elevate that energy around it. Move it into mastery. So think about that right now. Do you have a limiting thought that you've carried? Maybe it's something you're looking at in your weekly inventory. Is there something that's weighing on you? So we can just take that thought and create a denial and affirmation to shift it, to feel that energy change. Have you felt that when you've applied a denial as an affirmations? That energy shifts immediately around you. You could feel it. So it's like, okay, I'm on this right road. It's all it's all divine and in perfect order. So we know that. But we can take those moments and say, okay, this is just a little practice for me and implement that into your life. Now, we know that in the world that we live in, there is definitely a lot of room for compassion, right? And if we can show up with this compassionate mastery, we show up differently. And we show up differently, we help the world come into balance. And you may be thinking, well, I'm one person. What kind of difference can I make? You make all the difference in the world. When you show up, that compassionate mastery's there, and other people who are in that, you're joining that energy and you're uplifting everybody through it. So think about, what about as parents? How can this impact parenting? Well, it's about responding rather than reacting. And maybe as parents, if your kids, grandkids are Unity Truth students or not, gives you an opportunity to teach them about how to respond rather than react, how to be a passionate master. Maybe we can just look at this. It's not about criticizing someone and putting them on the defensive. We can say, hey, maybe we can just take a moment and look at this a little bit differently and share your thoughts on it. Not preaching, just sharing thoughts. And in a world that's hungry for compassion, it may be received well, depends on timing, but it's an opportunity. And it's great to be able to take these opportunities. What happens at work when things might be crazy? You might work in an industry that's really, um, that's a lot of high stress. Well, you can have the opportunity when you are walking this path to lead with calm and clarity, to not respond in a negative way to these kind of issues that might come up. So you might say, in a moment when it seems like I used to have this with special events. Something would happen in a special event and everybody would go, oh my gosh, everything's terrible. And I find that moment, I'm usually called to be calm, to be that voice of reason and to move into solutions. And everything would calm down and we'd move things through things more clearly. And a lot of times, if we were at a special event, people around us might not even know that something was happening because we can change how we respond. We can't change what's happened. But we have the choice to change how we respond. And I always love those people that are very calm and have clarity at those moments, in every moment. What about in forgiveness? How does what we're doing here work in forgiveness? Well, we can see others. We have the choice. We can't change what happens. But when something happens, either either by, for self-forgiveness or forgiveness another person or of a situation, can you stop and see another person as a spiritual being, not just a personality? Who is this spiritual being? And I truly believe that when we start to look at someone's spiritual being and see them as that, it changes the energy in the field. Sometimes not. Sometimes we still have to walk through a tough situation, but we're given an opportunity to use our mastery to see people as they really are, whole and perfect children of God. Even one person walking in compassionate mastery creates the ripples of healing in a hurting world. Everybody always talks about the butterfly effect, that ripple of the wing and how it's felt across the world. Think of your mastery like this. You are sending these ripples into this, and it's healing going into a hurting world. Maybe healing into a situation that there hasn't been forgiveness for a long time. Healing into a situation where um, it will help people to see a new perspective because certainly the old one hasn't worked. So you have these opportunities. You're a master at what you do and have these opportunities to make this difference. It's very exciting. So remember that mastery is a daily walk. It's not a finish line. There's no pressure to perform, only to practice. And when you find yourself either reverting back to maybe some old thoughts, you have your denials. You can put those into place and you can move into mastery. It's not about the judgment. It's about us learning and working in walking this new way. Let compassion be your guide. If you're feeling upset or if you have a moment, you can move into that and say, what is compassion here? I often, when I see something that I start to feel that way, I might ask the question, what would Jesus do? How? Because we know Jesus responded compassionately. Did he ever get mad? Yeah, we saw that with the temples overturning the tables. He got frustrated. He was having his human experience too. Let compassion be your guide. Move back into that. Maybe have a guide or masters or the archangels. What do I need to know here? How can I move back into this compassion? The affirmations and denials, I love using them because it helps me revert back faster. So when I can move into these affirmations and denials, I'm not using my emotion as much to do that. I can let that go and I can feel my emotions that might be rising, just kind of going back into balance because we're reshaping our consciousness. And when enough of us can do that, we're reshaping the world around us. We're making compassion and mastery a beautiful part of this world. That's exciting. I love that. So when you're out there and whatever it is you do, whatever you're doing for your work, you're showing up. These beautiful souls. We're looking at God. We can try to keep to that and look around. And I know some of you work in really tough jobs where you might be dealing with the side of the public who might be in frustration with customer service. There might be, the situations or in a family that there's been a hurts for a long time, and it's time for healing. Wherever it is you are, just by being you, This morning this daily word was about being your authentic self. Your authentic self is compassionate master. This is who you are. This is who we are. And as we can do that in our own lives and also with Unity Radiant Light, as we're making decisions and serving the community about what we're going to do it from a place of compassionate mastery. You can't go wrong with that. That's what's so exciting about this. So as we move into that this morning, I want to put our affirmations up, and we'll take these affirmations for the week, and we'll use them and work with them. We'll have fun with them. So important that we have fun because joy is a big part of this. So let's do our affirmations for the week. Okay, I am the living expression of divine wisdom and infinite compassion. So let's go ahead for a moment, and we can close your eyes if you're comfortable with that, and I'll read them. I'm going to do these 3 times, as I always do, one quietly, one in a normal voice, and one with conviction, because we are taking these affirmations and we are really listening to them. We're allowing them to resonate with our bodies. We're allowing them to we're becoming this living expression of divine wisdom with them. So let's just take a deep breath in and release. I am the living expression of divine wisdom and infinite compassion. I am divinely guided and wholly loved. I release the need to struggle or prove I am enough. And let's take a nice deep breath in and release. Again, I am the living expression of divine wisdom and infinite compassion. I am divinely guided and wholly loved. I release the need to struggle or prove I am enough. And now with conviction, I am the living expression of divine wisdom and infinite compassion. And let that just resonate with you. Let that sink in. I am divinely guided and wholly loved. Breathe in on that and just allow it. Allow that truth to resonate with you. And I release the need to struggle or prove I am enough. And we say that again, I am enough. How beautiful is that? And as we move into meditation this morning, we just go ahead and we take another breath in and release it at whatever's comfortable for you. We're really working with the inner sanctuary, but we're now understanding that our inner sanctuary is the sanctuary of a master. So as we take another deep breath in and release, I am enough. I am a master. So as you visualize stepping into a sacred space, whatever that is for you, just know that this is the inner sanctuary of your heart. And whatever you resonate with the most, maybe there's crystals in there, maybe there's running water, whatever it is where you feel that resonance. You just see that right now. How does it taste? Do you have a taste for it? Or is there water? What do you smell? What do you see? What do you hear? What are the sounds? Maybe you're putting your hands on grass or on something or on a crystal. How does that feel? You see, this is the seat of the master within you. Just take a moment to feel that peace. And you might notice, feel if you look at your hands, or maybe the walls are clear or reflect back at you. There's a golden light surrounding you. And that's your divine essence. This is your inner sanctuary. Wise, calm, compassionate. So we're going to take that light and you feel it filling your heart, feeling and see it in every cell of your body, lighting it up. This is your authentic self. This is you. And as we go into the silence, we're going to do so with a denial and an affirmation. I release the need to struggle or prove I am enough. Wow, I breathe in and just, you don't need to prove you are enough because you are already that. You always have been. And we're going to affirm I am the living presence of love and wisdom. I am the living presence of love and wisdom. I am as we go into the silence. I am that living mastery of compassion. As we feel that energy swirling in us, that truth that brings us that inner joy, that contentment, the knowledge that in our blueprint, we have this mastery for success in anything and to make a difference in this world. So let's take that mastery right now as we hold it for the people around us, our loved ones, for our communities, for the world, knowing that that energy within that mastery is being sent to wherever is most needed. Seeing for anybody that needs healing, we're looking at them not as a sick person, we're looking at them as perfect and whole, knowing that every cell in their body is working in perfect and divine order. We take that for prosperity, where people may be having a rough time, seeing them as they are, prosperous, knowing that that is their inheritance, and holding and seeing prosperity in every area of their lives. And with this comes not the joy that's external, it's wonderful outside of us, but we're looking at this inner joy that comes from this knowledge and this work and seeing it rise within us, within our communities, with the world, especially in the areas of the world that need it. Knowing that this brings that peace to a planet that needs it. Seeing that mastery and knowing that we come from the substance of love, and that's who and what we are, no matter how asleep somebody may be. So as we return, we do so with the knowledge, with the joy, the fact that we are already masters, compassionate masters. So grateful for each one of you, the wonderful things that you're doing in your world. Grateful for Jesus, our way shower, and all the guides and the masters who have taught us these things, reminding ourselves of who and what we are as we say thank you, and so it is.